No, we're not. Get back in the box.
Oh, hey, Waples, just as a heads up, my internet was out literally 45 seconds ago. So hopefully this thing works great. We'll see.
All right, you gonna leave that in the podcast, or you just
No,
gonna edit
no,
that
I'm definitely leaving that in the podcast.
out?
So if I'm recording this podcast and I disappear during the podcast, all the listeners, sorry. It's
Well,
okay.
it's a good thing we have Dungeon Lord Jay with us.
That's right. We have a guest.
He can carry your weight.
Yep.
I'll be Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay.
Yeah, he has topics, unlike me this week.
I have topics too.
Oh, aren't you special?
See, yeah, unlike you, who just goes LARPing all weekend and doesn't have topics, I actually got topics.
You probably had your topics middle of the week.
No,
you're like, I'm going to save these and make them look bad when we record.
No, let's do the intro and then I'll tell you what topics I have.
We did the intro. That was it.
No, I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher.
And I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay. And we have a special guest, returning guest.
I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Dungeon Lord Jay. Boy, that's a title.
You're just adding things onto there now.
The third, Your Highness.
I'm Grumpy Jay Jr.
I recently introduced my players to an NPC, Hazim Alessandro Carmichael de la Cruz III. Let's just give him this. Just this.
You said you didn't have any topics.
Well, I can always come up with topics, but introduced him with this huge long name and everything. And then they found out that his name wasn't like the third one in the lineage. Like his last name was the third.
That actually reminds me of something that I wanted to talk about today. It's this idea that I just came up with, and I wanted to run it by you guys. And it's on the same topic as what Jay was just talking about.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So I was talking to one of my friends, and we were playing the game that we shall be playing later. And they came up with a name for a character that was, oh man, what was it? It was Percival Storefront. That was his name, Storefront. So I started thinking about Percival Storefront. Who is this character? So I developed this entire plot, this entire story for this Storefront family, and I wanted to run it by you guys and see what you thought.
All right.
So Percival Storefront is a goblin, right? And he owns a small, maybe magic shop or random, bits and bobs shop. And it's called Storefront's Storefront. and he comes from a long line of storefronts, and they it all dates back to their great grandfather, who first came to like Waterdeep or whatever city through like a Easter Island sort of experience, where they were sort of a minority and they didn't have a common, an English name, so they gave him the name Storefront, and the only job he could get was being a mannequin. So that's where they got the name Storefront. And if you go up to Percival Storefront and say, "Oh, my great grandfather was a mannequin, and he clawed his way from through society to develop Storefront," and my idea is that the first time the characters go to Storefront, it's Percival Storefront. He's just a goblin. But it's a franchise. So any other storefront that you go to, it looks exactly the same. It looks exactly the same on the inside. And the owner is Percival Storefront, the exact same guy, except he's wearing a wig or is just in drag or something. And they're all related like Nurse Joy in Pokemon. Where it looks like the same guy, but he's dressed in drag or in a wig or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, that is always I've seen that trope in a lot of places. I've always liked it. Yeah, I've always liked it.
You've done it before, Jay?
Yeah. So first off, one thing I want to add is his great grandfather's name was Perry Storefront.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Oh, they're all P names.
Yes.
All of them are P names for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Also, another thing, there was a story that I came across yesterday online. Apparently, some guy dressed up and stood in a storefront like last week as a mannequin until the store closed just to steal jewelry.
Oh my god.
This really happened.
Wow.
But yeah, so I haven't done the exact trope of having the same looking person in a wig in a different outfit.
Right.
But I have done I had a magic shop that was called Thorbalds that my players could shop at, and if they went to any major city, there was always a Thorbalds there, and they would walk in, and it was literally the same store. He was just a wizard who had created a pocket dimension, and he just had
Yeah.
he just had doors in these cities. They could just walk into a store anywhere.
That is very, very similar to what I was thinking.
That's that can be traced back to, not saying you trace it back to there, but that like Hal's from Hal's Moving Castle, he had that same gimmick.
Yep.
Where all his storefronts basically opened up into his moving castle.
Right.
There was an episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender where they go to a city, like a floating city, or I guess more a town, and there was one vendor there, and all he would do is duck behind the counter and swap hats, but he never acknowledged the joke.
Yes.
So,
right.
The other thing I have done, so my character that I played for a long time, very high level sorcerer named Mikhail, he ran a bar and brothel and inn type place that became a chain throughout the world called Slickbacks. And if you ever went to a Slickbacks, there was always a simulacrum Mikhail standing behind the bar.
Oh, cool.
So, because he was powerful enough, he had just created a whole ton of himself, and every one of them just a powerful ass wizard running behind the bar.
Yep, they used that in Baldur's Gate 3, actually.
Did they?
Did they?
Yeah.
Huh.
The wizard that we murdered.
Yes.
He had his
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, that was not a simulacrum. That was an illusion. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a more powerful illusion.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Like it was sort of programmed, like almost like a computer program to answer questions in certain ways and do certain things.
Yeah, I mean they're all over the place. I mean,
but so storefronts. I love it.
Thank you. I put barely any effort into it whatsoever.
Well, I like it more too because you went off the old idea where everyone was named after their profession.
Yes, exactly.
Like that's a lost thing nowadays. No one's named after what they do for work.
Yeah, when we were driving back from LARP this past weekend, I found a great way for naming characters or NPCs or anything. So we're driving along the interstate, and there's a sign up, telling us what the next couple of towns are, like Gaffney, Blacksburg. So I'm like, well, that's just a great name. So now, anytime you're driving along, it might say Lincoln, Chicago. But there's a name. Got it. Perfect. First name, last name.
Lincoln, Chicago is a good name.
If you're a private investigator, that is a fantastic name.
My first thought was private investigator.
Yeah, like that. That's a Cthulhu character right there.
For sure.
Yeah, names are the worst thing for me. Like I can't, for the life of me, ever get a name. Like so, when I'm typing up a module or something like that, and I don't know the names of the people that I'm going to use, I just basically start typing in asterisk 11111 asterisk, and like that's my shorthand for the first character that I need a name. And so I'll write the story and I'll have everything out like asterisk 111 talks to asterisk 2222, and they have to go kill the boss asterisk 333. And that way I can do a quick find and replace at the end and just swap them out. Because for me, sometimes the characters don't matter. And that's not a good thing, But I can interchange them with whatever I want most of the times. But that's not really good advice. So don't follow that.
You definitely don't follow my advice on this stuff. If I have time to, like, if I'm creating NPCs or whatever, I'll just go to fantasynamegenerator.com and just look up names and pin them on them. If I'm in the middle of it and my players are like, "What's this random farmer's name?" His fucking name is Steve. Okay,
Yeah.
Guys, I gotta tell you, it is so funny that we are talking about this in such depth because that is the literal game that have prepared for you guys.
Oh boy.
That is the literal game that I have prepared is naming NPCs. I'm not joking.
God. Oh god.
And you guys are talking about how bad you are at it, and I am not joking. I seriously have it. I'm sitting here listening to you guys talk about how bad you are at it, and I have a whole game prepared.
Maybe we should play the game first and just get it over with. Because we're probably going to do terrible at this.
I can't believe this. This is fantastic. I mean, it's very thematic. I guess we have a theme for the episode. Huh?
Yeah.
Your name is Little Bitch.
The name is Fail.
Do you guys want to just get it out of the way?
Yeah, sure. Let's do the game first.
I'm down.
It's not like we have.
I've pulled up.
Order
I'm already cheating. I've already pulled up Google Maps. I'm just ready.
Okay. Well, I guess let's just go ahead and get into it. This is a game that I like to call Random Name Generator.
Oh no.
Yeah. So there's a couple of we're gonna do the first round. So there's no competition here. I just want us to have fun.
Perfect.
So I think you both can pick a name for this character, or you can do one at a time. It's up to you guys how you want to do that.
Okay.
I like the idea of us each throwing a name out there.
Okay, that's cool. So for number one, I'm gonna describe a character, and then you guys give him a name. And there's a second part to the game where I name the name and you describe the character.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So for number one, it is a middle-aged male, Lightfoot halfling painter with long, straight purple hair. He talks super loud and is possessed by an evil spirit who makes his commissioned portraits look like dead people. What's his name?
I got one. What about you, Chris? He's Googling something right now, I bet you.
No,
he's got the generator up.
I'm gonna go with Endeavor Lavenderfoot.
Ooh,
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
Not too bad. I'm gonna go with Sam Regal.
Oh my god.
Because
Fantastic.
that is absolutely a fucking character he would play.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Okay. So for number two, it is a male Aarakocra innkeeper that looks like a peacock. He is pompous and wears a lot of fake jewelry and was cursed with were-tiger lycanthropy.
I'm
You
good.
first, Jay.
His name is Cinnamon. Yep. Because he's a peacock.
Yeah.
There's a whole story behind this one, but I'll tell it later in the podcast or off air.
I'm gonna go with Asmodeus Fowl.
Oh,
Asmodeus Fowl.
That's
That
good.
is good.
Yeah.
I'm not giving any special name for the were-tiger or there's a peacock, just a generic bird name.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys aren't too bad at this. Come on, you guys are coming up with good ones.
Mine are all jokes, though.
Hey, they're joke characters, to be honest.
And
Okay.
it's a lot easier naming things when you're given the character. I think a lot of times too, if you're not given any descriptors, come up with a male innkeeper's name. Steve.
Right.
Yep. Steve, Dave, Bob. That's all of my NPCs.
Boblin the Goblin. That's literally all I ever have.
I'm pretty sure we talked about this last time you were on here.
Okay. An elderly female gnome who is the secretary to the town mayor, who wears her white hair in an extremely tight bun. She has a thick French accent and is secretly a devil-worshipping cannibal.
Icky Vicky.
Icky Vicky. What is she? Is she a garbage pail kid?
Yeah.
The player characters walked up to her and the secretary to the town mayor, and they say, "Oh, hey, what's your name?" Icky Vicky.
Yeah, it's in that voice exactly. Her short name is Fuzzy Fuzzalump. I can't give you the full gnomish name because we
Right.
don't have
the
6
time.
hours. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Okay. A female fire genasi who is a cleric to Oril the Frost Maiden, who has a thick southern accent and is being constantly psychologically tortured by a crazed leprechaun.
Huh. That's an interesting one. Yeah, I got a name for it.
Hold on a second. I looked something up real quick.
Random name generator.
Yeah.
No.
Come on. Do. Yep.
ISO the Dying Ember.
Oh, well, that's like a real name.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I have what I would consider a real name for this one. This is not a joke name for once. The character's name would be Winter Ash, because following Arl while being a fire ganassi is just fucking wild.
Yeah. So what I went with is there's something called a cool flame. It's like a cold flame, but it's so hot that it's cold if you touch it.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like your hand is freezing, but in fact, it's burning off immediately. And in order to get that heat generated from it, you have to burn isopropyl alcohol to get to that level of heat. Hence the ISO part. That's where.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, that was really good, guys. All right.
And
so
honestly, that's whenever I go for names, like I said, I have to know the character that I'm going to have done. And then I'll basically look up science terms until I figure out their names. Unless it's something like the bunny that runs the inn in Glide Sky Ruse, when I just call, it's just Sugar Plum the bunny, you know.
Yeah, their last name is Fuzzyfoot.
Sugar Plum Fuzzyfoot.
I have the feeling that the second half of this game is going to be much harder than the first.
Really?
I think so, yeah. Because coming up with a name, like I can throw just things out there and it'll stick.
Well, for this one, we are in the second half now. So for this one, I have a name, and you must describe what you think of as the character. For this one, his name is Professor Assman.
Professor Assman.
Yeah, which is spelled ASSMAN.
Really?
Yeah, that's his name.
Okay. So,
he's a proctologist in Waterdeep. I mean, done.
Who in his spare time, he is a professional wrestler and looks a hell of a lot like the badass Billy Gunn.
Oh, dude, that's great. He's a proctologist and a wrestler. Oh my god!
Proctologist by day, wrestler by night.
Yeah, I think in this one we'll team up. Me and Chris get to work
that's
together
perfect.
on this.
No, that's fine. I love that. Yeah. Okay, so for the next one, it's Noodle and Doodle Wiffle Waffle.
Oh man, this is too easy. They're definitely gnomes. By the way, I have a player whose character's name is literally Noodle. He's been playing it for I don't know, 7 or 8 years now. So. Yeah, his Noodle and Doodle, huh?
Yeah, Wiffle Waffle is their last name.
Wiffle Waffle. Okay, definitely gnomes. Probably wizards. Actually, yeah. Let's think about this. Yeah, they're definitely evokers. One of them probably only casts fire magic. The other one probably only casts ice magic. Sort of a duality there.
That's sick. You got anything to input there, Christopher?
Oh yeah, I'm making it up right now. All right, so Noodle Wiffle Waffle. Well, first I got to get the setting right. The setting is not a fantasy setting. This is a modern day setting.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Okay. This is a modern day setting. They're two men that live in Alabama. One makes muffins and lives in a bakery. That's Noodle. Doodle is basically his brother. They call him Doodle because all he would do is just sit around and doodle, not like draw fancy things. He just play with his do. Because they're from Alabama, they're allowed to play with their own poo.
Oh,
and no one
wow.
questions it.
That is where your mind went.
Yep.
Jay
yeah,
had these
because-
fantastic ice magic, fire magic duality
Yep.
gnome
and I have a
brothers, and
person
you have
playing their
two
shit.
hicks from Alabama playing with
Well-
their poop.
Well, if you so a little story here. I actually live in Alabama, and about 3 to 4 miles from where I live, there's a store called Doodles, where they sell tires. That store has been there since I was a small child.
The irony.
All right, so Doodle's the guy that sells tires.
Yeah, he sells tires. The other guy works in a bakery.
So speaking of weird naming things, kind of on that same topic, there was a hole in the wall restaurant that was only open Saturday and Sunday morning. Okay, from like 6 to like 2. Okay,
That's going to be good food.
it was good food. The guy that ran the restaurant, his nickname, and what everyone associated him with, and what he named his restaurant as, was Poopies. Okay.
Jeez.
So he ran like this hole in the wall, like meat grill place called Poopies, and there was always a line to get in. He only worked those 2 days out of the week. Everyone came and got his food. Everyone loved it. It was like a hit in the fucking city that I grew up in. Everybody wanted to go to Poopies. Not a lot of people can, and I just still to this day, like, why did you name it Poopies? Why? Well, how'd you get the name Poopies? Like,
Obviously, it works for him.
I guess. I guess it does.
That's pretty close to the last name I would name a restaurant.
Poopies.
Like, you know, there's
yeah.
yeah, Poopies, shit stain, anything involving
Oh.
fecal matter is just not something you want to name a restaurant.
Hey, sweetie, where do you want to go for dinner tonight? I don't know. You feel like Poopies? Nah. How about shit stain? Nah. I had
What
shit stain. How about Chipotle? No, I don't want to shit myself.
Shit stained steakhouse.
Yeah. Like, how about we go to Latrine's Pizza? Like, no, none of these are appropriate names for a restaurant.
Definitely not.
And if you're running a D&D campaign, I highly recommend you do not use any of those for any businesses.
All right, I'm gonna make shit stain a legitimate business.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Turn
It's right
shit
next.
stain around.
It's right next door to storefront.
I mean,
all right. Do you guys want to?
Speaking locally, the owners of Synergy were trying to come up with a name for their new store that they were opening, which is now
a new
Heroes.
store?
This was a couple years ago. They landed on the name Heroes and Champions, and they wanted it to be basically a D&D like tavern where everyone came to play tabletop and Warhammer. Since being open, it's 100% just a Warhammer store.
Warhammer. Yeah, I just went there recently.
So they're bouncing around names, and one of the names I actually pitched to him in a joking manner, but kind of like, that's actually would be a really good name, but very shitty if we did it. There's the big store here in Charleston is called the Green Dragon. Okay. And I was like, you know what? If you really want to win the naming war, you got to be like the Gold Dragon or the Bronze Dragon or some other kind of better metallic dragon, and just one up them. Because then when people search for dragon, you're going to get both the ping for the Green Dragon and your store that's also like the Gold Dragon or whatever.
And 7 Chinese restaurants.
And 7 Chinese restaurants. Well, there is a Chinese restaurant in the same like little parking place called Lamb's Garden, which is like the most unique Chinese name for a food restaurant. It's not number one China. It's Lamb's Garden.
It didn't have the word dragon in there, so that's something.
So that's what I pitched for him. Is call it the Gold Dragon for his store. But he's like, nah, I can't do that. I was like, yeah, you can.
Nah, that would just start a war. Don't need that. Yep.
I recently went to the new Green Dragon. They like moved to West Ashley.
Yeah.
And their floor is completely covered in like side by sides laid out grid style magic cards on like the
Yeah.
face down, and they covered it with epoxy or some sort of glue or something to keep them all on the floor, and the entire floor is covered in magic cards.
That's
Yeah,
kinda cool.
I mentioned it in
It's pretty
passing.
cool.
I mentioned it in passing to Jay that they did that, which is really cool. I also kind of wondered too, like, were those are those just lands, or are they really like expensive cards,
You know
like
they're not.
really good cards? Because if they're not
No
really good
way.
cards, I mean,
I mean, I own enough Magic cards that are worth pretty much nothing that I could coat my entire floor in them. You
yeah,
know,
don't do that.
yeah, I'm definitely not. That's way too much work. I'm not about to sit here and lay out a 1,000+ square feet of Magic cards. Not happening.
Yeah, coward, you won't do it.
You're right. I won't. So, Dungeon Lord
Oh,
Jay, did you have more of those for us?
hold
Do
on,
you
real
guys?
quick,
Yeah.
before we jump further.
Yes.
There's a couple other store names that sell D&D in our area that are a pretty good name. Since we're talking about good name stores, so Synergy is the one that I get sponsored by us. Okay, and then we
Yep.
have Heroes and Champions. We have the Green Dragon. We have Hoodie Cat Lounge, which is
That's a cool name. I would never
yeah,
think it's old gaming stuff, but it's a cool name.
it sells the gaming stuff, mostly game boards, but the DM that runs games there, they have like this little D&D room in the back, which is pretty nice. There's also the Owlbear Tavern.
What?
Yeah.
Where the hell is that?
That's up here in Somerville.
Isn't that copyrighted? Like,
I don't think so.
I thought so, but maybe not.
Well, definitely not now, because the OGL is in whatever states that it's in, that it's free for everybody to use.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, but there were certain things that were not open, like Mind Flayer and
no, that stuff is in the text that they put out in
okay.
Creative Commons. That's in the text that they put in the Creative Commons, so it's no longer theirs.
Okay.
I mean, they might be able to fight because maybe they didn't intend to, but because of the references to Waterdeep and Baldur's Gate, Mind Flayers, Owlbears, Beholders are all in the Creative Commons license now. So
okay. I knew like Ravenloft was. I remember that one, and Strahd
yeah,
was in that name or in that thing, but I didn't realize Owlbear was and all these others.
I mean, plus, are they going to be that big of dicks? Are going to come down on Owlbear Cafe?
No. Very unlikely, since they're not selling the same product.
I mean, they're selling D&D there.
Well, yeah, but it's
and coffee. Yeah. Oh well.
That's a pretty good marketing point. Isn't there another one nearby that's they're like a gaming store? I don't think they sell D&D stuff.
There's Final Quest and a few others.
Final Quest, that's the one. I like that name.
I think my local game stores around here need to pick it up. Like we've got Oxford Gaming Center, Bud's Place, like
Bud's Place.
Yeah, like they're just the most generic name. That if I heard of Bud's Place, I'm just going to think, oh, that's where a bunch of drunks go to, to hang out at and buy more booze. Like I expect that's going to be a bar or something.
Right.
Yeah. In Virginia, there was a place called Atlantis Comics, and it was the tabletop RPG store. And I never kind of got why they didn't sell comics there.
Yeah,
just tabletop and gaming stuff.
It may have started as a comic store,
sure,
and transitioned over.
Like, who sells comics anymore? No one.
Yeah.
Not most of the comic shops have closed up. Let me see. There's one place within I know of one place in about 45 minutes from here that actually sells comics, and then there's Second and Charles around here sells it, but Second and Charles is an offshoot of Books A Million.
Okay.
Like they resell. Basically, you can trade in books and comics and games and stuff.
Oh, cool. Well, that's kind of cool. I never heard of that before.
Yeah, they're in South Carolina. There's one in Greenville.
What's it called again? I'm sorry. Second
and Charles. Yeah, two in Second and Charles.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're a chain. Obviously, it's like I said, it's an offshoot of Books A Million, but they're all over the place in the Southeast.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, since all bookstores are dead forever.
Dude, seriously.
Except for reselling bookstores like that one. They do
Yeah.
very well.
I don't know what it is, man. Like I miss like going into Barnes and Nobles to buy books and find stuff was cool at one point in time, but now it just like you go in there and you're just bombarded with just a bunch of shit,
Yep,
and
and pop
there's
figures.
1,000 books and pop
Yeah.
figures and everything else, and like
Toys and all kinds of stuff.
I still have that nostalgia in my heart for Walden books way the fuck back when.
yeah,
You don't even know Walden Books, do you? You're
no,
not old enough, Jesus. That's where. Okay, so Walden Books was a big bookstore chain, a la Books a Million or Barnes and Nobles. On that level, they were always in shopping malls, and that's where I bought my first Dungeons and Dragons stuff.
I miss
Cool.
shopping malls. Do you guys miss the '80s shopping mall?
I was a mall rat, so yes, I do.
You don't count, DLJ. You're too young
Yeah,
for shopping
I was
malls.
about to say, but by the time I was old enough, they wouldn't even allow teenagers in the mall because there was all kinds of, let's say, violence.
Let's say violence.
Sounds like you live in a rough neighborhood.
Yeah, well, yes, that's
I
true.
mean, that being said, there's Waffle Houses on every corner around here. Violence that's where that's at, not
Listen,
in bookstores.
I have two on the street that I live on within walking distance of each other, and I'm not joking.
No, I believe
Waffle
you.
House is violence. Violence is Waffle House.
Yeah, I have a Waffle House a mile from here and a Huddle House the other direction, a mile from here.
You think that'd be a
Go ahead.
you think this would be a good strategy, like Waffle House and like maybe Huddle House or some other, just pancake shop. Basically, just kind of reach out to the tabletop crowd, the board game crowd, and basically just like set up a section that's less sticky, where everyone can come and play board games. I think that would make them some money.
They're not big enough though. Like
Maybe,
not the
yeah.
the company. The company's plenty big enough to do that. But generally, when you build a Waffle House, you can seat like 12 people in it.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
And boy, howdy, do they seat 12 people in there.
Yep. And hope
Just
hope
12 people.
yeah, they have to screw all the seats down, otherwise they get thrown at people.
At 2:00 in the morning.
All right, let's back it up. You had a couple more of the name it.
Oh, it's fine. Do you guys want to do one more just to
Yes,
round it
one
all
more.
off?
We'll do one
Yeah.
more. We'll do one
All
more.
right. Do you guys want to do where you create the character, or do you want to do one where I list all the
Yeah,
traits and you name it?
I want to name it.
Okay. This one is a unique one. That's why I say I want to save it for last. So this character is an annoyingly optimistic vigilante / superhero of Neverwinter, who wears bright neon bodysuits with a glowing green cape that uses illusory lights to blind and combat criminals.
Oh, I got a good one for this.
Unfortunately, the first thing that popped into my brain, and unfortunately, this will never be able to come out, was I could just only think of our good friend Jesse and his character that he plays Re, and like I don't know why, but he plays like this fey creature that goes around and just kills people. And when you started talking about this very positive person, he's like the most positive person that I know, and so my mind just went straight to his character that he plays Re, and that's the character.
R.E.
Yeah, like literally the letters R-E.
That's a good superhero logo, you know?
Yeah. My brain went a completely different direction when you mentioned superhero, and just the way that they blind people. So this character's name is Bubbles Light Bright.
Light bright. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Here he comes, Bubbles Light Bright.
Yep. But nobody ever sees Bubbles Light Bright because, well, vigilante. So they're blind and then they're dead, and that's it. No witnesses, no anything.
I love that. Fantastic.
Yep.
Well, that was it for my game, Random Name Generator.
I enjoyed that game. So far you're 2 for 2. I've enjoyed both of the games you've run.
So what I gotta know though, Jay, what's up with Cinnamon?
Oh, so okay. I am going to not do this story justice because it's been so many years ago, but I will do the best I can. So we were at LARP, and every year they hold a festival followed by a feast. And right before feast or right after feast, they would hold an auction, and they would auction off, awesome magic items and stuff. And one of the items that was being auctioned off one year was literally a golem that was shaped like a peacock. So it was literally a peacock golem, and its name was Cinnamon. And Cinnamon liked the former owner a lot, which was the Ogre Empress, but Cinnamon had to be sold off, and Cinnamon didn't like anybody else. So Cinnamon will not follow your orders, and Cinnamon definitely does not like you. And these were the words that the auctioneer was using. And the guy playing it is a friend of ours, Chris Beasley, who he was role playing as Cinnamon, and he just mean mugged the shit out of everybody the whole time.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
You have to realize he's role playing a peacock, so he's fucking strutting around.
I cannot imagine. That's amazing.
Yeah, like he's the king shit, and he walks up to the somebody sitting at that first table and just mean mugs them and goes peacock, and he sort of flinches at them, and you just see the person flinch away.
That is amazing.
Yes.
And the best part too is that he didn't really go bok. He went fuck you. And he caught everybody by surprise. So we had like 80 people like here for the auction, like waiting for this thing, and he's just doing all this, and just it floored everybody. Everyone's mouth was open, and you were just shocked by what just happened to us.
Yeah,
like this is a real thing now.
to the fact that I am now telling this story 7 or 8 years later, like
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you guys have fun out there, huh?
Oh, it's so much fun. So much fun.
It's one of those things, like, it comes around every month, and you're like, oh, I don't want to fucking do it. I got to go out. It's going to be cold. It's going to get hot. I'm going to be all sweaty and blah, blah, blah. And, like, you don't want to do it. And then you go out there and
I have to drive 6 hours.
I got to drive. I got to go be personable to people. I can't just be a recluse in my basement. And then you get out there and you have a tremendous amount of fun. And then they go, oh, this is why I did it. This is great. I can't wait to come back. And then it just repeats on a vicious cycle. You become addicted to it.
Endless cycle.
It really is that way. It's one of those things of you get there, and the moment you're there, everything becomes better because that's 4-hour drive or 6-hour drive. Once you're on site, it's a whole other thing. And then you're hanging out with people that are fucking awesome. You have a great time. You get exercise, fresh air. By the point that you leave the site, you're so exhausted that it's almost like a runner's high. That drive home, man, your mind is just fucking going a million miles a minute. You just got ideas and things that you want to do, and then you get home back to normal life.
Yeah.
It is a very weird like state of being, and it's a lot of fun, but I am still sore right now. I'm so tired. I'm glad you're here to bounce off because I wouldn't be able to function otherwise. It's
well, at least you guys have fun. That's the point. That's really all that matters.
Yeah, for anyone who is listening to us who has any interest in playing Dungeons and Dragons in real life, aka LARPing, shadowmoor.org. That's Shadowmoor is the game that we play. So feel free to look into it, and hey, come join us.
Yeah. And they had to buy the name from Magic. Wizards and Magic had to buy the name from them.
They didn't have to buy the name, but they had to get permission. Yes.
Which they're going back to Lorwyn, so everyone's like, I can't wait for them to go back to Shadow War. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I don't know if they've reached out and talked to anybody yet. I don't know if they can go back to Shadow War.
I seriously doubt they would ever touch that again, simply because they had to get the rights to it. So
Yeah. So they might never go back to Shadowmoor and Magic the Gathering just because.
Well, they have the rights to do anything with Shadowmoor when as it pertains to card games. Like that was the deal.
Okay.
So they could just do it. I don't know that they would, but
Well, they're going back to Lorwyn. So, I mean, Lorwyn's easy. There's no issue there.
yeah, assuming Magic the Gathering doesn't die before then.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely going to die. You linked today that they're going to start publishing Marvel Magic the Gathering cards.
Yes.
God
Marvel
damn.
superheroes Magic the Gathering cards are coming.
So, this is my honest question: is given that they're doing that, and like, fine, money printer go burr, make a bunch of money. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit that Marvel is getting the Magic the Gathering treatment. Okay. Their Universes Beyond shit has been amazingly successful. Everyone loved Lord of the Rings. Dungeons and Dragons was one.
Okay, let's be fair. Everyone didn't love Lord of the Rings. Everyone bought Lord of the Rings because you had a chance at pulling a $2 million card.
Yeah, whatever. So, anyways, do you think they're gonna do that with D&D?
What do you mean?
Are they gonna start to basically go, oh shit, we're making so much money with this Universes Beyond shit, and D&D is struggling. So let's put the 2 and 2 together and start doing Universes Beyond D&D stuff. So Doctor Who campaign settings and X-Men campaign settings. Since they have the license for it, I
won't say
Whoa.
that I will not say that they won't, but you have to understand a lot of those other settings are already under licenses for other role-playing companies. Like I don't know
yes, but most of them have expired.
I
recently.
was going to say I do not know the current status on those, but it has been very consistent over the years for other companies to be doing those licenses. Once all that stuff expires, I wouldn't be surprised. Sure, why not?
Because
Please don't.
I know Star Wars is Fantasy Ground lost the Star Wars license. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they took their Force and Destiny system. They have their own world and campaign setting now that no one's buying because it's not Star Wars. And Star Wars has moved on. Actually, they haven't made another Star Wars tabletop, have they? There was the conversion for the 5e one that guy
Right,
did, but
yeah.
that wasn't
That was
official.
never official, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that Marvel is under license with somebody else right now.
I think Marvel's under license with Ravensburger right now. The guys that are doing Lorcana.
Yeah,
because
Ravensburger's fucking huge. They're puzzle monsters.
Yeah, there's a lot of Marvel board games coming out, and like the Villainous and Disney board games and stuff like that. That's all Ravensburger.
It looks like Marvel actually just has their own role-playing game.
Yeah, but no one bought it.
Yeah, that may be the case, but that seems to be like it. I went to Marvel.com and there's a role-playing game for sale. So
Is it a 5e system?
no, it looks like D6s.
Oh, no one wants to play with D6s.
Shit, I do. I want to play Bridgetown. Damn it.
That's
I want
different.
to play Bridgetown too.
You should order the book.
I want to play it real bad. I met that guy at the convention that I went to.
Oh, okay. David Schwimmer.
Yes, and I wanted to, or whatever his name is. I'm not sure.
David Shirtawan.
There you go. I knew it was something like that.
I was talking with him a little bit. We're gonna try to set up a time to get him to play at Zenergy with the game and stuff. So we're working on it. So I'd like to actually play the game too.
Okay, that's something I would consider driving out there for.
Oh, you won't come down for the goddamn Grumpy Dungeon Master anniversary. I want to play real fucking bad. People.
I want to play pretty bad too.
Yeah, but the problem is you wanted me to fucking DM that thing, and I don't want to.
You don't have to DM it. You need to be here to sign books and shit.
Wait, we're signing books? We don't have any books.
When
Not yet.
I'm working on
you
that
get books,
too.
I'll get them signed.
Yeah, see?
So yeah, anyway, let me know.
Jerk. uh,
I don't like driving 6 hours. Actually, it's more than that. I think to your place, 7.
yeah, just come here and get the pop figure I have for you.
Oh yeah, that's right. Hey, wait, no, I brought stuff to the LARP for you. You get to bring it to LARP for me.
Yeah, I actually was sitting in my car today, and I had both the Death Watch book and the Legends of Lore book with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, which one do I want to read and talk about today on the podcast? And I read the Legends of Lore one instead of the Death Watch book.
I kind of
But-
want. I actually kind of would like that Legends and Lore book after getting a very brief preview at your place or in your vehicle of it. Like that looks like something I would be really interested in because I'm super interested generally in the history of D&D, and I know
So
it
yeah,
focuses more on the current stuff, but I still am interested in it.
yeah, it's all about the 5th edition release, and so far, it's really only talked about the cool, awesome stuff that they did and how successful everything was. And blah 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 blah. There hasn't been like, oh, and then things took a turn for the worse, and there's been no like behind the scenes talk in the book yet, which has been very disappointing. They've kind of said, oh, now I went through chapter 1 and 2 today, and they talked about how they released the core books and the starter set, and they linked it up with Adventures League, and how basically things exploded with Critical Role and Big Bang Theory and Stranger Things, and they kind of campaigned off of that, and then this boom happened where people were talking about playing D&D and popular culture, and they had this boom, so they released Temple of Elemental Evil again as
Princes of the Apocalypse.
Princes of the Apocalypse. Yeah, that's right. And then they were like, okay, so let's continue this further. So we did Out of the Abyss to bring back all the big bad gods and stuff like that, and how they then went straight to the giants, and how they based that off of stuff from 2nd edition. And so they're talking about like what's influenced the books that they wrote in 5th edition.
Cool.
But they're not talking about any of the process behind it. And it's a lot of pictures. Like there'll be like a half a page of data and then like 3 pages of pictures.
I mean that book is obviously a coffee table book. Like
it is a coffee table book, yeah. I was hoping it'd be a little bit more. So like if you want a coffee table book with a lot of nice pictures and shit, it's definitely it. But I'm hoping for a little bit more behind the scenes talk about things, and that's not happening so far. But like I said, I bought it without really knowing what it was. But so far, it's been interesting. It's been nice seeing.
How long? Do you know about how much it covers? Like how
all of 5th
modern
edition
it gets?
All of 5th edition up until Wilds of the Witchlight.
Oh, really? I'm very interested to see what they have to say about Descent into Avernus, because I know it's got kind of a bumpy sort of story behind it, I guess.
I mean,
from what I understand.
Yeah, there was a bit of drama in the creation of that, and you know the linkage between that and Baldur's Gate 3 and a bunch of other things. But I'll let you know when I get to there. I've been talking about it on the podcast. So like my current part that I'm talking about now is they're just talking about how great everything was and how they moved on to the next book and what Chris Perkins said about that. You know, it really hasn't been very useful knowledge. That isn't something that like, oh yeah, we had this problem during development and how to change our ideas. It's all been like, hey, we read this in 2nd edition. We're like, hey, that would work for 5th edition, so we did it.
Right.
I mean, I got a stack of modules if they wanted to, just start releasing them for 5e every so often.
Yeah, and
my complaint is there's not enough books. Well, fuck it, there's so much stuff out there to copy and steal.
Yeah, and like they're talking about how like the last thing of the chapter that I read was how they released Volos, and how they basically they're like, okay, we're gonna make Volo's guide to monsters. We're gonna base it off all the other Volo's guides that existed, and they did, and it was a great success. And we brought Volo into 5th edition. Okay, cool. Then why did you
seems
do
like a lot of
nothing
patting themselves
else
on the
with it?
back.
Yeah, it's a lot of patting yourselves on the back. Like, why didn't you do anything else with Volo? Why was the next monster book Morden Kanan? Was there a problem between you and Ed Greenwood? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I want to know that stuff.
Yeah, and they also released the that was when they first started with the special edition covers for the books. And like Volos was the first one of those, but it was actually limited and hard to get. Like they were, I think you had to order a certain amount. I don't know the exact number, but you had to order a certain amount of the normal books just to get the new book or to get the alternate cover book. So if you look that book up on eBay, minimum's like around $300 because
Wow.
there's not a ton of that cover out there. But when you look at all the later covers, the price just keeps getting lower and lower the further along that it gets. And a lot of that, I would assume, is because they just started mass printing the alternate cover ones too.
Yeah. And well,
Now
really,
they're not even going to print books anymore.
Good luck with your game surviving.
Yeah, dude, seriously. You heard that they like terminated with Penguin Random House and
Yes,
are
I
now going to
did.
start
Yeah.
publishing their own stuff.
Yeah.
well, that
Oofa,
so-
doofa.
that was a distribution thing, not a publishing thing, I thought.
Sure.
yeah, that's not terrible. Their plan is they're going to move all the books and stuff and move all the book distribution in house, and part of that is again Wotc's big plan about being a was a $2 billion industry in 5 years, and how they've basically failed doing that. They're trying to basically make sure all the money is just in them, and they're doing all they're centralizing all their activities. It seems.
You can make more money by piecing things out to companies that actually know how to do that kind of stuff. They don't seem to realize that. Like, why would you want to try to build your own distribution network nearly from scratch when there are already companies that you can just pay to do it for you,
Right.
who already
Because
have
I
that? They already have that infrastructure.
Well, I know why. So I watched this whole video about it, and apparently, now this is from a video, so I don't know all of the information, but from what I understand, when Penguin Random House, they buy the books from Wizards and distribute them, and when they
Yeah.
distribute these books, they can do it at a cheaper price. You can buy a D&D book from Walmart cheaper than you can buy it from the Wizards of the Coast website. And they're like cutting out the middleman. They're like, screw that. You're going to have to pay $60 for this book, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I don't see that working. I really don't see that working in their favor. Marvel tried to do that shit in the 90s, and it literally bankrupted them.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Well, they seem to be doing fine now.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you know, when you see all these Marvel movies, you have the Disney ones, and then you have the Sony ones, and then there's I don't remember who. There's a third company out there that owns rights.
Universal.
Is it Universal? Yeah, and
Universal owns the right to the Hulk. That's why there hasn't been a single
that's
Hulk
right. Yeah,
movie.
but that's because of what Marvel tried to do in the 90s, and they found out not quickly enough that it costs a lot of money, and if you try to cut out those middlemen, they can just do it cheaper. It's better.
Yeah, it's part of their strategy. Maybe part of it's because they already have all the printing stuff because they moved all the Magic the Gathering stuff in house and all the publishing's there, and they may own those publishing printing studios, so they may just be doing it better. And again, because fifth edition is supposed to, or 5 point, or sorry, D and Done is supposed to basically be the online VTT D&D, and they may just do very little physical publishing.
And it will kill their game if they don't put the books out there where people can get access to them. If you take the whole thing online only, you're done. Like, it will not work.
We'll see. Oh, they'll see at least.
Yeah,
They're gonna try.
I mean, it's not going to affect me one way or the other than it's a thing that we all love. We all love Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm saying it in quotations. It's what most people, that's what they started with. That's what they want to play. So we all want to see it do well. And unfortunately, it's owned by a billion-dollar company that doesn't give a shit about the product. They just want to make money.
They got $1 billion on the brain.
And it really felt like when I first got into D&D, it really felt like something that was just so unique, and you build your own sort of special connection with this game, and everyone has a deep sort of connection to the game. And now it's like Marvel movies.
Yes, that's a very apt description of it. That's what it feels like, at least to me.
Yeah, and also the fact too that everything is a freaking multiverse. Like, I'm just so tired of the multiverse shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I kind of dig the multiverse thing. I know you guys have very strong opinions about some things.
well,
But I
it
kinda
was
dig it.
fine. It was fine until like, all right. So I'm tired of multiverses. Like, I get it's a thing. I get that DC is capitalized on it, but Marvel's going through a big thing with it. D&D is going through a big thing with it. Everything is a multiverse. Everything's a multiverse within a multiverse. I was watching a video today about the Incredible Hulk's one of his latest runs for.
I knew you were going to talk about this on here.
Yeah,
Fucking do it.
there's the current story of Incredible Hulk is that these could be the very top end cliff notes. So Hulk goes on this journey into basically hell, okay, and he fights the being called the One Below All. And the One Below All is essentially the devil, for lack of a better descriptive term. Okay, it's not really the devil. Mephisto is the devil in the Marvel
Mephisto.
universe.
Yeah.
But the one above all is essentially the God creator being. Okay, the one below all is what happens when the one above all hulks out. Okay, he's basically this giant gamma creature of indestructible power and mayhem, and just causes bad things to happen. So Hulk goes through literal hell in this Lovecraftian nightmare experience where he fights the devil and eventually overcomes the one below all. But surprise, something stayed behind in the Hulk psyche. Okay. Bruce Banner had an episode after fighting the one below all where he like destroyed El Paso and murdered everybody there as the Hulk. Okay. And he then basically decided that he was going to stop the Hulk and stop everything. So he basically talked with Doctor Strange to have the Hulk put in a separate dimension in his mind. And then he set up this like weird psychic illusion that he could basically co-pilot Hulk's body, and they call it Starship Hulk. All right, where he basically takes the Hulk psyche and submits it to all these atrocities and monsters and big bad guys, and he has like this lever that's 1 through 9. And so like 1 is like him just fighting General Ross, and 5 is him fighting the X-Men, 6 is him fighting all the Marvel zombies, and he just gets higher and higher. 7 was like all the Asgardian gods. 8 was all the celestial beings like Thanos and
Yep, we get
Galactus, whatnot, and essentially just it ramps him up, and because his fuel is he's never stopping, he's always getting angry and angry, he's always getting stronger and stronger. And Bruce Banner is able to basically take that, a lot of Iron Man tech, and fly throughout the universe, multiverse, and fight other variants of Hulks to find like the original gamma start of the Hulk, finds another Bruce Banner who's been throwing Hulks into a void where they're all just basically creating this Hulk multiverse. And like I'm watching this shit happen in this video today, and I was just like, I'm so fucking done with multiverses.
Absolutely wild.
And I'm just like, this is just a fucking nightmare. I
This is
don't want any more
shit,
Hulks.
huh?
It's all canon shit, yeah.
Oh Jesus.
And so now there's a thing called the Titan Hulk, which is the Hulk that can destroy multiverses in a punch. And like the scaling is just
have you ever heard of power creep?
Yeah.
So and now we have Planescape, which is just all multiverses. We got
hold on.
No. I am done with the multiverse.
Okay, let us clear this up. So the Planescape is not a multiverse.
Let me stop you right there, because they claim it as their own multiverse.
They can call it whatever the fuck.
In their own fucking book, they call it a multiverse. So you can't.
Yeah, but like,
so
Planescape is awesome.
Now, okay, I'm not going to say D&D is not a multiverse simply because they decided to bring in once they tied it with Magic the Gathering, and you could play at that point. It sort of jumped the shark, but it's been like the ability to travel between worlds has been there since first edition.
Right.
Like, that's not new. That's never.
I don't
It's
care.
Demons come from somewhere.
yeah.
I was reading the Legend of Lore book, and they said that they wanted to establish a D&D multiverse.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they want to
I'm
do
done
that. And, yeah,
with multiverses.
I look, we all are. I don't. I run a very very well. It's always been a very insular campaign. Like, I don't generally do travel between worlds and stuff. I've very very recently broken through that and tied it into one of my players' own campaigns. But we've been kind of doing that for a little while now. But it's still just very insular. It's his campaign, my campaign. They're sort of vaguely tied together.
If you tell me multiverse,
No,
I
it's
say you ran out of ideas.
yeah, no, multiverse is not usually a fan of that.
I'm just done with multiverse.
Planescape is like the world that connects all of the outer planes. It's just outer planes.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
If you have access, if you have Stygia, if you have the Nine Hells, if you have Arborea, Mechanus, like if you have all of these in your setting, then you just go to Planescape to get to them. Like
Right.
Yeah.
that's all it is.
And you go to
Yeah,
Ravnica,
if you
and then you go to
no,
Theros.
see, now you're
then you
talking
go to
about multiverse again.
Then you go to New York in 1992
No,
to fight the Iron Man variant.
that is
D&D book.
That's D20 modern. It's not the same thing.
I don't know. They're coming out with MTG Marvels. They might just tie it in and just say, "Hey, here's the Marvel Avengers
do that.
campaign setting."
I would be so upset.
Oh, you better be upset. You get ready for us.
I'm not
already
ready. I'm not
crying
ready.
inside.
I'm not ready.
Yeah, because they want this company to be huge, they will do their best to tie it into even bigger companies, aka Disney. They're not. Yeah. Next thing you know, you're going to have a Disney version of Dungeons and Dragons coming out where you can fight Jafar and
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, a la Kingdom Hearts. Prince John. Oh my God.
Oh God.
Hey, Prince John apparently is just a tabaxi. Who knew?
Leonin.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm so tired of all that crap, and it's just like I haven't bought any of the Critical Role books. Like I know that it's great material, and I know that it's fantastically written, and I am envious and jealous of Matt Mercer and everything that he's doing. And if I could wake up and just have his level of creativity and fame, I fucking would, just so I could do more D&D
Absolutely.
stuff.
Absolutely.
But I'm not gonna buy your fucking Critical Role system. I don't care about buying another world of things. I don't want to buy fucking X-Men crossover books. Shit, I don't know. I bought the Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering cards. I'm a little bitch.
I like new settings. I like different settings. I like to see the rule systems. I do have some interest in Daggerheart or whatever it was that was coming out, but it's not one I would ever really dive into. I might buy the book.
Sure, to take a look at it.
Right.
I think that's honestly my sort of stance on it too. Is I'll check something out to steal it and put it in my D&D game.
Yeah.
Because I come here to play D&D, guys. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I would love to try out other systems. If someone had my experience level with a different system and was like, "Here, let me sit down and walk you through how to play this game," I would love that.
So, have you heard about Pathfinder 2nd Edition?
I am more than willing to give it a shot. If someone can walk me through playing it, I would love to play.
If I'm ever out that way, we'll sit down and I will teach you. And it's not.
Hey, I'll teach you to my players.
Yeah, it's not super complicated. Not if you can learn 5e, you can learn it.
No, I would love to give it a shot.
Traders.
Yes. Yes.
Another one I want to try is Dungeon Crawl Classics.
Oh, I could teach you that one too.
I really want to play that game really bad.
It's so fucking good, man. I was looking through the critical tables in that game earlier because fighters have their own critical table, wizards have their own critical table, rogues, etc. They all sort of have their own critical tables, but certain types of enemies have their own crit tables too. So
What?
like dragons have their own fucking crit table.
Yo.
And let's just say they don't play around, man. There was one number on the crit table. I don't even remember what number it was. It's sort of middle of the chart where you are literally impaled on the dragon's spines, taking a stupid amount of damage. And if you survive, you're still alive but bleeding to death as your
Jesus.
organs begin failing. And it's detailing all of this shit out in there. On top of that, the dragon has to spend its next, like an action, to remove you from its spines before it can make that attack again.
Odd. Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's fucking brutal.
I might have to give that a whirl as well. Check that out.
Oh, I highly recommend it. Goodman Games, like I just bought. They have a deal where you can you get the entire core rule book, a set of dice, the DM screen, and a module, and it was like $75 or so.
Oh wow, that's
Like
cool.
it was a good deal because it's a big fucking book.
I want to try it out real bad.
Highly recommend it.
I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah, I'm not trying any new systems. I actually just got in my Kickstarter that I backed like 7,500 years ago. I
Which
got
one?
the second edition. Sorry, not the second edition, but I got the second printing of Dark Tower. It actually
Oh,
came in
okay.
the mail. I got all
Oh.
the boxes. The boxes are fucking huge, man. It's like 4 boxes, probably like the size of like any like big collector set worth of books and materials. The map that I have is this giant fucking like rubberized map that's like 4 foot in diameter circle. Like
Nice.
it's an insane amount of just product to run this one game.
That's
And
awesome.
the rule book is thick as shit. And like I remember the original game, the original Dark Tower game, you could basically just play it, and the machine did all the math and the rules for you, really. And so I'm very curious as to how much of this is done by the actual apparatus and how much of it is actually you have to know what the rules are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know we tried to play it last time I was down there, but I'm definitely up for trying out the new one whenever I'm out that way.
I'll come drive there for that. Not the anniversary though.
Nope.
Hard line in the sand.
It's a lot of it's timing of year, and you know that.
July.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of anniversary,
Right. You mean yeah? You always hold it on my birthday weekend. You got to stop doing that.
come down for your birthday weekend.
I'm always doing stuff here on my birthday.
There's nothing to do in Alabama
Yeah.
except your cousins.
Except play with your own shit at Poopies or whatever.
He couldn't help himself. He couldn't help himself.
Oh yeah. Just come down here for your birthday. They'll celebrate your birthday down here. Anyways, I was thinking about the anniversary module for next year. It costs quite a bit of money to print out giant size color maps for all the tables and stuff like that, especially since I'm not asking for any upfront fee for people to participate in the competition. I was kind of thinking, like, how can I create some kind of modular dungeon that I could just write once and then basically have a number of tables that I could just roll out and like print out these same things and laminate them and just use them year after year after year and basically just make a different dungeon each time I have the anniversary instead of having to write a whole brand new module.
That's easy. Just make a dungeon and then just you lay out
Flavor
the
the
dungeon.
rooms.
Yeah, you just lay out the dungeon and then change the rooms.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. So it would just basically be a list of rooms and a table, but that's a lot of combat encounters and not really like social encounters that may not tie together well. So like I'm thinking a little bit more high level of it. Like I know the math and mechanics behind what I want to do. Like that wouldn't be hard. but how do I give it a spin to make it actually interesting that people would want to play this multiple times, and buy this and purchase this, and then basically sit down like, okay, let's roll a quick dungeon real quick with this system, and roll it out, and it has all the social encounters and would actually make thematic sense, as it kind of go through. Like if you've ever played was it House on the Haunted Hill, and they did the Streets of Baldur's Gate as well, game as well too.
Right.
Like
50 different missions that take place in this thing. And
yeah, like that's something along those lines, but have it actually be quick and easy to set up and run, So I've been kind of thinking of that and like how to make that work. So other than just a table full of rooms, what are your guys' thoughts?
the way you're describing it, I mean, it doesn't sound that hard or complicated to do. Like I still like just the very simplistic idea of you create your dungeon, map it out, and altering those rooms to do whatever you want them to do is not a hard thing to do. You could write a whole bunch of adventures that all take place on that same map, and then just have those to pick from. Like once they're written, it's done, it's over. You have the map already.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're thinking of it in terms of like House on the Hill.
Yeah, from what I understand, Christopher, what you're trying to do is create like a system as opposed to an adventure.
Yeah, but and also have that system create the adventure for you.
Understood.
I mean, the 5e rule settings are just going to be there. That's just the mechanics of how things run. That's fine. But how do you make it?
No. But a system of creating a dungeon.
Yeah. And have it be more than just a series of combat encounters. Because you can make any random table, okay, full of just random combat encounters for things. That is not difficult. But that is not fun.
Well, it doesn't have to be all combat encounters. In a similar vein to the House on the Haunted Hill, like you could have this dungeon laid out where the players have to find these certain pieces in these certain rooms, and then they have at that point you have to go and complete some other task somewhere else in the dungeon. It could be even a random location where they have to go to that wouldn't be pulled up until that moment. And once they obtain those original pieces, you could have them being chased by something that they can't beat. And so there's so many ways of actually doing that.
Yeah. So that's where my mind has been going and trying to think of a good ways to kind of handle all that and get that kind of worked through and set up. Because I'd like to, I like writing the adventure and putting it out there for free for everybody. But I'm kind of want to do something a little bit more permanent versus just another adventure for the next anniversary.
Yep.
I mean, like we were saying before, I mean the just printing of a map or even sections of a map that can be sort of fitted in different variations, like 4 laminated pieces, and they can be rotated or whatever, like the Tomb of Annihilation, right, where the room sort of spins and it creates a different way that you can go, and you just have it set for, okay, this is how we're going to run this year, and you have 4 little sheets for each table, and they are arranged in a certain way every time you run the adventure, and it's the same dungeon, you just put different shit in the room.
Yeah. So that's what I've been thinking of. I'm trying to come up with those ideas and
it's a cool
what
idea,
exactly
actually.
to do. Yeah.
I mean, you could easily sell that too. Here's you 50 adventures that all take place on this map.
Yeah, that's a really, I would buy that.
Yeah, that's one of the things they did for the storytellers group for like Write Your First Adventure. Is they would give you the maps and they'd say, okay, write your adventure using this map.
Yeah,
and then
that's
like
cool.
everyone wrote their adventure using that map. And then here I am like a jackass going, fuck your map. I'm gonna write my own, draw my own map with hookers and blackjack.
So I'm in the process of creating a Dungeon Crawl Classics campaign, and I literally just went to Donjon, printed out a mega dungeon map, and like I've got it here in front of me. It's 153 rooms on the
Jeez Louise.
on the first level. There will be
Yep.
multiple levels to this thing, and all I have to do now is just start writing out what's in the rooms.
Right.
You don't need to do that. Don John will populate the rooms for you.
I could. I'm not going to say I won't steal some ideas from there.
Right, but it's more
And-
fun to sort of, instead of random, you sort of feel
Yeah.
out
Like
the rooms and
parts of
stuff.
the map, I know what they're going to be already, so
Right.
I can't steal everything from Don John.
and then you could use an AI monster generator we found.
I don't know. I'm curious how AI would work pulling up Dungeon Crawl Classics monsters, because there's less of that online than Dungeons and Dragons.
It's true.
I mean, when I use the AI generator, just messing around with it and kind of goofing with it, it really wasn't that useful. Like you can say, hey, I want a big brutish character that swings a mace and hits real hard and is very hard to take down. He's like, oh, okay, well here's a AC 19 monster that does that for you. And you're like, that's a good base, but that's not what I wanted really. Like it still lacks that.
You need that imagination. You gotta get creative. Yeah.
But soon, give it
tailor
another
it to
5 years.
yourself. Yeah.
The AI DMs that Wotc are going to basically roll out with their VTT.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Finally, I'll get to play with a good DM. Jeez.
I know, right?
I mean, I love the idea of not having to always be the DM. So
Sure.
No, you're always the DM until you die. You signed up for that role. You got the ticket. Got the.
No, Chris, you're talking about yourself. See, I actually do get to play sometimes.
Bullshit.
Not as much lately, but I don't mind DMing. It's not too bad.
I love it. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, as long as I get to go hang out with my friends, that's what counts.
Yeah.
For friends? No.
On that note, I wanted to mention something. I know it's getting late or whatever, but I wanted to mention something.
Sure.
We were talking about how D&D's changed and we have other systems now, we've always had other systems, but we're experimenting with them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking, if I was on a desert island or something with a group of my friends, without any books, I could run D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that it's cool that at least Wotc can't take that from me. I know the rules as best that I know a lot of the rules. I could make a character without even looking at the book. So
yeah. Like the thing is, though, it's not hard to create a system at all. And honestly, you would be, if you're stranded on an island. Let's go with this hypothesis.
Sure.
Stranded on an island, no books. You're able to survive, and you actually have free time to play a tabletop game. And sure, you might know all of the rules to D&D and everything, but it's still probably simpler to kind of create a system that utilizes just D6s,
sure,
as opposed to the D20s and the D6, D4 or whatever the hell they're. I'm thinking DCCs, but D12s and
yes, D8s.
Yep, because D6 is such it's less numbers. It's just easier. You only have so many. You only have to have so many pieces of coconut that you can
lash together.
Yeah.
Yep.
D20 or bust.
I just wanted to add that at least Wotc's not taking what I've learned away from me.
That is the reason that while I hate that it's going the way it is, I don't really care that it's going the way it is. Simply because there is Pathfinder, there is Daggerheart that's coming out, there's Shadowrun, there's Dungeon Crawl Classic. There's literally infinite systems out there that I can just pick and play.
And even if I don't like this 6th edition, I was thinking about that too. Even if I don't like the 6th edition, I know how to play D&D. Like I don't need published adventures and stuff. I can do it.
Yeah, we like nearly everybody skipped 4th edition and just kept playing 3rd.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3rd edition was fine. It worked great. So why would we swap to a new edition?
Because 4th edition was great.
Those words have never been uttered, but okay.
Except by me every time you dog it. It was a great system. Half of the 5th edition is 4th edition.
Hey, I love board games.
Listen, guys, I just want to say that I use skill challenges almost every session, and it is my favorite D&D mechanic.
Yeah.
See, I like DCC's method of skills. It doesn't actually have skill challenges. It's if your character has a background where it makes sense that they would know how to do the skill, you can just do the skill.
Wow.
No, you get to roll at an advantage.
No need to roll to see if you know how to blacksmith that thing. Were you a blacksmith previously? Cool, you know how to blacksmith.
Hey, I'm
No, you
real persuasive. I can just sell the DM on whatever I want. My
I will
character
bring you
used to be a rogue.
pancakes if you let my character do this.
Yep. Hey, look, bribery on DMs, it's a thing,
It is a thing.
and I do love pancakes and
I
muffins.
mean,
Don't forget the muffins. Muffin. One of our friends' name, one of my players' nickname is Muffin, who we have to go play some video games with here very soon.
no, we don't. He's just gonna get mad at me for murder hoboing everybody again.
No, it's Monday. It's 7 Days to Die night. We get to kill all the zombies. All the zombies.
Still gonna murder hobo everybody. That's what I do.
Oh yeah, we're murder hoboing zombies.
Man, I don't know. I just one thing I did want to bring up too before we end. Driving to the LARP, I got to listen to all the backlog stuff from Ed Greenwood that I haven't listened to in a while.
Mhm.
And one of the things he was talking about was he was answering a Q&A question. And the question was whether or not the directors consulted Ed Greenwood when they were making the D&D movie. And he said, no one really comes and consults me for anything with D&D anymore. And that made me really sad.
Makes me sad too.
But what he said is that, however, I do answer all my Q&As when it comes to Patreon, and there's a lot of stuff that Wotc will have to run by me before I give them the flag on whether or not that's acceptable or not. I'm guessing that's why we don't have Volo's guide to anything else.
Right.
And I guess there's a big issue and everything like that with everything that TSR had made and published originally, and trying to hide that from the media and stuff like that, and hide that and get that all written out, which is quite sad to hear. But one thing he did say though is that the directors did go to his Twitch account or his Twitter account and ask him questions like just a normal person. Like a normal person just asking questions about the world and how things work. So even though he wasn't directly officially consulted and paid for the work, he did actually provide them with information on how to run things. As to what the word, he couldn't say what it was, but he knows that the directors did reach out to him through his Patreon and through Twitter. So I just found that just almost like a great gem that like the guy who's the father of the Forgotten Realms is still out there answering questions.
Yeah.
He's the man.
And as long as he stays healthy and alive, we can still have that last little sliver of original content that's out there. And
Yep.
and then reading the Legend and Lore book, like I'm not saying what the 5th edition writers did wasn't original, but I mean, we've talked to some of them. They did original stuff, but it was a rehashing of Elemental Evil. It was a rehashing of Out of the Abyss. It was a rehashing of the Giants for all these books. And while the contents and names have changed, the originality of those original sources are just gone. And like Eberron is like the newest setting. That's the last like super new setting. Maybe Critical Role you could say that is the newest one now.
Well,
But
yeah, but yes, but I don't know. I always felt like Eberron was the last new setting that they released.
well, I mean, the first Critical Role book was a 5e Wotc product.
I know. I'm aware.
But it's got a lot of 4th edition stuff in it. That's just renamed.
Yeah, but 4th edition was great.
Oh God.
Well, Mercer was originally running that setting in Pathfinder.
Right, that's true.
Which was 3.75
3rd edition.
D&D,
there you go. Yeah.
I guess Magic the Gathering, that was one of the. It's the last setting other than that, the Critical Role one. So, but Eberron is the last of the OG settings.
Yeah, I mean they're never they can't or they won't ever publish another Dark Sun setting.
Yeah, they'll never touch that again, unfortunately, because it was the best setting of all of them.
I mean the Wotc settings that come out like Ravnica and Theros, I like those, and they have a lot of really good multiverses.
I'm glad they released them. Yeah, like I am.
I wouldn't mind seeing Kamigawa as a setting, but
that would be cool. But that won't happen.
I don't know. It feels like at the same time there's this giant tabletop renaissance. It also feels like things are just kind of being restricted more and more.
Only within D&D. You go outside of that and you got places like Bridgetown, which are fucking awesome.
God, I want to play that so bad.
All right. Well, I'll make sure we play Bridgetown. I can do that at least.
That's right. I've already got ideas for running my own Bridgetown game.
You better.
I do. I'll definitely be running a 1 or a 2 shot here after I finish my current Pathfinder game. So
you coming to Charleston to run it?
I'm going to run it for my players here first, but if they enjoy it, I'd be willing to possibly run it for a couple of people there.
I'm coming.
All right. After I get to play.
No, you can't play anywhere. No more games.
Craig, they're not letting me play. Now
he
recording.
Just wants to escape.
Now recording.
Why aren't they getting my message?
Because no one speaks your language, Craig.
All right.
All right.
I'm done.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Dungeon Lord Jay, awesome as always to have you on here.
Thank you for having me, guys.
The show.
I appreciate you guys having me on, as always.
Yep. All right, guys. Take it easy. Bye, Craig.